Traders, welcome to our daily webinar. This is part 2 of the weekly webinar. I will put out this entire week webinar out, which means you still have a lot. Friday, I couldn't put it out. My apologies for that. I was in the hospital with my daughter. So no way I could probably do it from the hospital. Anyway, let's go. She's back. She's home. She's okay. No need to worry. She just had a slight virus and she was dehydrated. So they kept her in the hospital for that purpose. Anyway, let's go. So we're expecting this to go back up. Now, it might not go immediately. The thing is not that it has to go immediately. The thing is you have to have a setup before you buy. So if you want to buy this, you would have to wait for it to make a flag or a consolidation here before you consider the next up move. It's that simple. If you're thinking about selling it, you can still sell. You can sell once it make a top and it starts to make flag to the downside. You can sell. Can this do this for a while? Can we actually come and break this low? It's possible. I just don't see where we take this to be the correction or where we even take this to be the correction. It doesn't fit in how I see corrections. Now, if this happened, what I would do is I'll look back at the entire pattern to see whether there is any other possibility that I missed. So far, I'm not missing anything that I can see it. So I am assuming that this will still go back here, right? Could it be something much more complex happening? Well, we wouldn't know that until all the pieces are in place. For now, if you get the buy setup, we'll take it. If we don't have a buy setup, well, don't worry about it unless you're trying to sell this, and that's a very, very bad idea. If you're trying to sell this to come and break below, that is a very bad idea, at least from where it is. If you were selling from the top, okay, or wait for it to go back up and sell from the top. That would be a better idea. If we actually may end up with a very big correction in here, and this is 1, 2, 3, I think my traders know that we could be stuck here for a very long time going sideways like this before we eventually go back up. And that would be okay. Corrections are normally very long drawn out. So you might not be breaking these stops anytime soon, but you can come back close to the top. And understanding that is very, very important, which means if you get into a buy setup here, once it comes to this stop, you would start to manage that, to exit it. Because from that point, you could be looking for downside, right? Or you would put a point at which you would like to sell if it starts coming down back. And, even if you're long term, if you said, well, I would like to keep Bitcoin all the time, why do that if there's a chance you can buy it lower? That's the whole question. That's the question every time. Ethereum is pretty much the same thing, right? We're still in this. I do think that they're going to go back up. As a matter of fact, this one, you can make an argument for whether this is all the correction with this piece. If you look at this as an expanding flat in the middle there, you can make an argument for 1, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. And this comes down lower here, right? That could possibly be a valid argument. We can go with that. I don't think it is going to do that because it's still pretty sharp in there. So I think there's a good chance for the upside. Wait for the buy setup. We don't have any buy setup. Even in the on the 1 hour, you had a buy setup if you were buying, but that could be pretty much like what you would have done here, right? Buy, exit, right? So this is going up. I think you could have bought it there. If you did that on the break of this low, you did excellent. You're in the trade, put it to break even and leave it. If it makes another flag here, you can buy again, put it to break even, leave it because it could still come back down. But if it takes off, that's a trade, right? So I think you can go with that. Let's go. XRP. Pretty much coming up really sharp. Any flag would be a buy. If you bought already, you did well. There was a running flat. On the 1 hour, I'll go with this running flat here for a buy. Once I saw that, if you took the trade from this point, you're doing well. Once it go up, if it makes any other correction, you can buy, right? Is this the low? Well, let's go back on the 4 hour and see if that is a possibility that could be the low where we are in the biggest structure. Yeah, that could be the low. Breaking this low doesn't mean anything. That is expected to break this low, right? This one is expected to break that low. So here's what we're looking at. When this comes here, what happens? Is it going to be this one or is it going to be more complex than that? It all depends on how this goes up. If this goes up really slow, there's a good chance we can make a much more complex pattern. But if this goes up fast, all it needs to do is break that up and there's a chance we're coming right back to retest these lows. See? There's a very good chance for that. Come back right back and retest these lows. So the buy setup would only be, I would say, to come somewhere in this level. For these, I would just let them go break the lows and then look for buy setups, not from this point. And it would be most of them, actually. It's about to break the low, or it broke the low, or if it broke the low already and you buy setup you can take, it's manageable, you can get out for positive. Perfect. If you get a buy setup here, take it. If it goes into break even, I mean, if it doesn't go right now, you can get out of those trades. So if this consolidate here today, which means if you pull back to this level and you get a buy setup there for this to go, it could do this and come back down, but you'll get out for positive, or it could continue to go up now that we've broken the low. Can it go much lower? Of course, it could always go a little lower. That's the breaking the low is not the end of it. That's the minimum requirement for the patterns. I think this one, somebody wrote me a question on YouTube, and the guy said, how did you know when it was in here? I think it went into somewhere in here. How did you know this was going to go down? Because for some reason he was in a buy, but when he saw what I said, he said he closed. I don't get that part exactly, whether he exited before it dropped or whether he ended up taking loss. I'm not sure, but I understand that he exited before it dropped. Now it's a simple one. This is about the easiest pattern, right? That we know. That is how we knew this was going to come here. And that is how we're telling you this is likely going to go back there, because we're looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, and we're looking for this move up to that level, break the top, and then there's a good chance you come back here. See? Now, that's the simplest common pattern, right? A regular flat. Can it be more complex than that? Of course it can be. So if you're looking at the wave analysis in that simple form, where you look at it and he says it's going to go up, but instead of going up, it actually, let me just erase this, yes, sorry. Instead of going up, it actually makes another flat here and drop one more, and you got all confused. Oh, he's wrong, this thing doesn't work. Then what you need to do is come and learn how this stuff works, right? Then you will understand why if you get a flat here, we can make a new low and still go back up, right? And a flat here is possible, but I would not forecast a flat here now because we broke the low, that's 1. 2, we only have one move up. So there's no reason to forecast. Our main focus now is on the upside. If we get that trade perfect, what would be the trade setup? Any flag here would be a buy. It's actually making a very nice one. If you took it already, which is mean if you took this one or you took this one or you took a buy under the low, any of those is good. You get rid of them, or you can still keep them if you want. I think this is going to be a bigger one here. You can see that already. And if this turns out to be the flat we're expecting, that's a buy setup. That's a perfect buy setup. What would change in this that I would say, okay, cancel the buy, let's look for a sell, is if this works its way down like this instead, come back to the bottom here and then go back up there. Well, we know that's a flat, which means you get one more low. We're not selling this. I don't care about the sell. You can put an entry order to buy under the low. If you put an entry order to buy under this low, you're doing well. Now, I'm not making a trade call here for anyone because you have no idea how to manage it once you're inside the trade, right? That is something you will only get inside my group, how to manage it, how we would manage the trade once we're inside of it, right? Long-term, short-term, doesn't matter. We have rules of how we're going to manage them. So this is making a very good flat here, and this should be a perfect buy setup, right? Once this proved, I would like this to go back up slightly here. That's not the buy. I would like it to come back slightly here, and then we'll go for the buy. This would be the perfect buy setup. And that's a simple flat. Can it be different? Of course. Running flat, expanding flat, a whole range of what it could be. I'm not teaching you patterns here. I'm just giving you an idea of what we're going to. Same here. We wanted to break the low. We haven't broken the low. Should we go back before we break the low? Yeah, we can still go back before breaking the low. We don't necessarily need to break the low. Can this be a running flat at this point and still go back here? Yeah, pretty much so. Can this be a separate correction of its own and become more complex? Go there, come back here, then go there, and then drop, break the low, and then go back up? Possible. Now, if you can't see why I am making that pattern, then you need to learn how to do wave analysis. If we get any flag here, and you definitely need that flag before you buy because it can drop again, you shouldn't be selling it. Wait for the buy setup. Same here. This broke the low. Any buy setup you take. Any sell setup, I'll say ignore it. Wait for the buy setup. Let's see this. I don't think we've broken the low. We've come pretty close to it. We haven't broken the low. This was a good sell if you wanted to sell. At least now you'd have to be careful. It could drop one more. Or if they consolidate to go back up, go for the buy. You can make an argument of whether this here would end up being some kind of a bigger flat here as well. if we don't break the low and go back up. So if you get a buy setup, you can take the trade. This one, yeah, look for buy setups. I think this one has a higher probability of going up more than the rest of them. This thing going up is a really, really high probability. From here, maybe not here, maybe a little lower, maybe go make a new low and then come back. Yeah, this is probably gonna make a new low and then go back. But if you get a buy setup, take it. Right, this is a buy setup forming right now. If it goes much lower, I'll probably just ignore it. Right, if this kind of work its way down here, go back up there, come here, then give you this as a buy for this up there and then down, I'll probably ignore the buy. Right, if you can get the buy from here for this move up before it drops, perfect. You have to have the skill level to do that. Okay, where were we in the bigger picture in this one? Well, we're still going sideways. I do believe we might get one more up here, but then this would probably drop. I don't see this is going up totally. I don't think they have to drop one more, at least one more drop here and then go up. Let's see this. Okay, this came all the way to the low. So the question is now, do we look at this piece in the middle as an expanding flat? Or do we assume that this was all the correction and we're making a newer low? And we assume that this here is all the correction and this is making a new. I don't like it because of this. This whole piece doesn't really fit. This one is really sharp in the middle. So what I'll do is if we get buy setup, we'll take it back to the top and then we'll see when it gets to that level, if we still have one more down. And then that would make sense, right? So we'll wait on that. This could go up from any time from here. It doesn't have to go down lower. Any buy setup you get that will go, that would be a good trade. If it goes lower, leave it. It's mostly upside. And this one I just explained. I think one of my traders found a much bigger chart than the one we have. On the weekly, we have this one. Let's go to daily. On the daily, we have this. This is all we have, but there's more to it. I'll show that tomorrow. I'll have to check the charts that we posted. There's much more to it from since 2017. And if that is the case, then this is not the low. There was a lower low before that, right? And if that doesn't mean that you're not going to get any up move, but you might get temporary up move before you actually break the low. One of the temporary up moves you can look for is this straight to the upside there. When this consolidation, that's a slow move down. We have a sharp wave here. So at some point, we're going to get another sharp wave up, and then we're going to have a new low. This would be a very short one. So you can consider whether you want to buy that, which means you're going to push this up here and then watch for the downside, right? So if you put it from here, now I don't think it doesn't necessarily have to be from there. It could go from a lower point. All we'll see how low it goes, and then it's going to be a running flat, which means we will retest the low. And you can you buy this and then close it and buy back again from the bottom? Absolutely. And this is the same thing. This one is about to break the low, so I would probably just let it break the low and then look for the buy setup. I've been saying that for a while now, but it's still going down. It hasn't broken the low. So you probably want it to break the low before you start looking for buys. And the same thing here. All right, well, this broke the low, so you can start looking for a buy setup. This one actually is making a buy setup here. You're kind of consolidating, and if that consolidation stays in this range, that would be a buy setup. If it comes lower, we'll go back there, make a new low, and then we'll look for the buy. The question is, are you trading this on the sell short term? Well, then you should know how to do that, right? We're looking only for the longer term buys, and the same thing here with this now. Let's see what is the big picture of this. We definitely need to go break the low because we didn't break the top. So this one would probably come here, break the low too. Same thing, we'll probably see this break the low, and then we'll start to look for the upside, right? Once it breaks the low, we can go with this and then look for the upside. So let it break the low. It still has some more, not a lot more, but I think that could easily happen. You can make an argument for this making a flat here for a sell, right? This could be a sell for downside. So look for that trade. That would be a short-term one drop and then upside. So guys, that is for that. Let's go to the, let's see this. Yeah, like if you took this sell, right? So last time I told you that this could possibly be a sell setup if you want it. And watch it as it goes down. That makes sense. We didn't do anything here because it wasn't making sense. That sell would make sense if you took it. Watch it when it comes to this low, because they can go back up. I would probably look at this as some kind of a, this whole piece is some kind of a running flat in with this here, and then come back to this level and then go back up. Not necessarily breaking the low, probably about this level and go right back up. I don't see this as the end of the structure because it was really slow going up. Natural gas, consolidating in the middle here. That looks more upside this way, but you're still in this part, so they'll probably have to do a number of this. Look for this and then the upside. The question is whether you can sell that. That would make sense for a very short-term trade. Oil is something we just discussed quite a lot in our trading room. Let's say before I started this recording, and it's already going down, right? So that's a sell setup we call in the trading room just now. Put an entry here for a sell, just to break this low. That's the trade, right? Just to break that low. And then there's a chance it can go back up. Now it can go much lower than that, but the minimum requirement is breaking that low. So those of you who took the trade, you're doing well. Watch it when it comes here, and then you're expecting this to go back up, which means we just actually discussed that, right? Come there, make a flat here, go back up there, and then come back. It could be a running flat if they come lower. We discussed that possibility also. UK oil is the same thing. Actually, this one is even much better in terms of the flatness of this move, right? An entry order here for this sell. So it's the same thing. The trade is active already. YouTube traders will not get this because by the time they get the recording, we'll probably be here. And then we'll be looking for the upside, and then we'll look for the downside, and then we'll look for the upside, and then we'll decide what the whole pattern is when all of that is finished. So let's go. PayPal. I'd say ignore this for now. If it's not making a flag there, if it made a flag, you can look for, this will probably make a flat and drop again. Amazon dropped really nice. So if you took that trade, you're doing well. Now that it broke the low, I would say, okay, be careful now, right? If this is where, if they're going to reverse, they could start reversing. So if you have to take profit, watch for any corrections here and take profit. US 30 or move stops or something. So US 30, if you took the trade, you close the trade, put an entry order here for a sell. Right, this was a flat. This piece here turned out to be a flat of its own. This is a sharp move. We could get a sharp move. They could break this low and go back up for a sharp move. Keep a stop above here for a possible running flat. So it could break the low and go back up, but you can take the trade. You know how to manage it, or you're way out of that, right? It is unlikely going to go back up from this point, which means they're likely going to break the low first. And you have to be aware that the likelihood is they're going to break this low and then pull right back up like this. We're going to have a running flat here. And then you're going to get a sell set up here. Right? Just be aware of it. Should you take the sell? Well, you know what to do. That's the whole point. It's not that difficult. This one is similar, not the same, but similar. The only thing about this is really small. So, I would probably take my chance on this. Actually, when I leave you Thursday, the trade was here. On Friday, the trade should have been here, right? Which means you should be selling this. You should be selling that flag to the downside. This is a sell setup. So let it drop. It could pull back and then drop again. Right, but it's worth taking the trade. So I'll put this entry here right now. You know how to manage that, right? NASDAQ, they all have the same. This one necessarily doesn't have to be part of that running flat. Oh, sorry, this is the one I just gave you. Sorry, which one I missed? S&P 500. S&P 500. Yeah, this would have been a break even on the upside. It didn't go as far as we expected to go. That was Thursday, I think, because I wasn't there Friday. You should have closed that. It didn't go anywhere, and you can look for a sell setup here. This turned out to be a small flag. This is a small flag for downside. Make a new low and then go back up, right? So take this. This is not the best trade though, but you can take it. Sorry, this is not the thing. This is the one of these I missed. Let me see. This one we got. This one we got. Yep, and this one we got. Okay, good. This one also you can put a sell here. Sorry. Yeah, this one also you can put a sell here. This one you already know. Put a sell, but be careful with this. This one is more of a correction downwards. It could come back all the way to the bottom for a bigger flat, so sell it still. And Nifty. Good, you've got the flat now. So remember what I said is you're expecting something. Go back to the webinar here and said they'll probably do this. I think they're doing that, right? So this will probably go back there and then you get that trade. I hope it dropped in a single trade for those of you who are trading it. And from that point, there's a good chance we could go right back up, right? So you'd have to be careful when you get to that level. Works, right? The magic works. It went up. Remember when we were at the bottom here, we're looking for the buy, for this to go back up and for this to come back down. And then from that point, we could totally do this. If you look at this as a running flat and you look at this as a 1, 2, 3, that's your buy. So put it in the 4 hour, let's see. Yeah, it looks good to me. Looks like a bigger correction for upside. I'll go with it. Right? Especially when it comes here, if you get a buy setup from the bottom here, that'd be perfect, just perfect. So go with the sell first and then go for the buy. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I would close the room for the recording to process. See all of you in the trading room. What time is it now? I think the London session started. Let's go trade. So I'll close and I'll come right back in. We will look at trade for the London session. It's already, what time? It's already 9 something, right? In London, yeah, trading is going on. So we'll look back at our trades, what trade setups we have, and then we will, from there we'll go, right? So I'll close the room and come right back in. See all of you in a few seconds.